squeeze enchanté, happy to see you, bright as this day. Welcome in the avenue, welcome to cabaret, oh cabaret, to cabaret. You know, when I first started thinking about this program, Broadway melodies connecting stories. I know it doesn't make any sense at all, but it did in my head at the time. But then this morning, I thought, oh, never mind that. I had written all these things I wanted to tell you about stories and connecting them to these songs, and it was so complicated. And I thought, you know, actually, I think the greatest experience of story is the story we're making right now. So it really wasn't important, all that other stuff that I wrote about, what these songs were about, and how they might make you feel or think, or it's just what they are for you right now. And that's the connecting story. So, never mind what I was gonna say. I'm gonna say what's in this moment, because that's really what's important for all of us, is what we're creating together right now. And this next song, Magic to Do from Pippin, really does talk a little bit about that magic that we all make and that we're making right now together. And if you listen to the lyric, you'll get, I hope, a sense that the magic we're all putting out into the world really isn't something we do alone, but it requires our relationship with other people. Just like the one you and I are having right now, or the one you're having to the person right next to you. You're taking their popcorn or whatever. So today really, I think, is about hope. You know, as we look at all the catastrophe, the hatred, the war, the displacement, the sadness going on in the world really does need our magic. So let's make it.
Join us, leave your fields for flower. Join
you feel the magic. So these are some of the RIT and NTID students and former students and former faculty, where's Bonnie, who are joining me today. For those of you who've come to my shows the last few years, I've done a show where I've been just myself at the piano with an interpreter and talking about my life stories and how they're related to these songs. But I thought, you know, I really need to bring people with me, because the whole example that we're doing is this building of community, these relationships that we're building, and all of these songs are about that. So what's the point of just seeing me? It's much nicer to see everybody else with me. This next song really does, I think, speak to the loneliness, the sadness that's going on in this world, but it also has hope. And if nothing else, let's try to take that with us today, that each one of us, we are the hope that the world is in need of. We're the hope that we ourselves are in need of. You know, when you think about this magic to do thing, it isn't something that we go out and acquire. The thing is, we've all got it right now. I do have a little prop, but actually it's not the magic. I'm making it magic. And that's really the whole point. This song is You'll Never Walk Alone from Carousel. I couldn't remember what was next, sorry. It is different when I'm just sitting at the piano, doing whatever I do, because I don't really have to follow what I said I was going to do, which is very difficult for me. So with other people, I really do got to try to stick with what I say. Especially somebody else who's playing the piano. You know, some of you are aware, I guess I will tell some stories about me though. Yeah, okay. So, some of you are aware that I come from a family of singers, actually, for those of you who are not aware. And this next song is from the musical, well, the operatic musical, Porgy and Bess. And it's a musical that's somewhat dear to me because it was where my uncle, William Warfield, and his wife, Leontine Price, met. And this was in 1952. It was a revival of Porgy and Bess that went on a world tour and ended up on Broadway. So it went around the world and came back to New York. Here's an interesting story. So they really wanted my uncle to do this part. He had just done the film Showboat a year earlier for MGM, singing Old Man River. And so that kind of catapulted him into the spotlight, you know. And they really wanted him for that, but he was under contract with Columbia Artists. And he couldn't really get out of all the dates were so conflicting that it was impossible really to do this tour. But they kept chugging along, working at it, and finally they figured out some compromise with Columbian Artists. So great, but they didn't have a Bess. They only had a Porgy. And so the director and the producer of the show heard about this young girl. I think she was 22, maybe, or 3, or around there. She was a student at Juilliard, and they heard that she might be the one. Well, were they ever right? So they said to Uncle Bill, William Warfield, they said, we'd like you to go hear this young woman sing. She was doing Falstaff at a student production at Juilliard. So they went, and as my uncle tells this story, that once he heard her voice, he knew she was Bess. But that wasn't all of it. And so they started rehearsals, and you know, one thing led to another, not too many others, but you know, one thing led to another, and they kind of started a romantic relationship. And they were starting out in Washington, D.C., and then in Chicago, and then going to Vienna, or Berlin, I can't remember which. And he wanted to propose to her before they went on tour. As he tells the story, he thought going to all of these romantic places of Paris, Vienna, London, it might be a little too difficult not to be married. So he thought he better marry her before they go on tour. So in Chicago one night, he's got this ring in his pocket, and his manager and his wife are sitting at the restaurant with them, and he puts his hand in there and he's feeling around for the key, or for the ring, and he's nervous, and he drops the ring on the ground. And Leontine has an inkling that something is going on. Not exactly sure what's going to happen, but something that's a little strange, that they're all out to dinner and something's happening. But all of a sudden, the manager and his wife and my uncle go under the table to search for the ring on the floor. Well, they finally find it. He puts it on her finger. She says yes. They get married a few weeks later in New York City at a church that I just went out of my head, Adam Clayton Powell's church, and that's sort of the start of a long history, not only of their private lives, but of course of their enormous success. So anyway, getting back to Porgy and Bess, this song, It Ain't Necessarily So, is actually sung by the character Sport and Life. My uncle did not sing this in the production. However, the recording that was made of this show, which was not until 1965, I think, Leontine and my uncle sang almost all of the roles on that LP, and it was called Highlights. And to this day, that's sort of the quintessential recording of Porgy and Bess that all others are kind of measured by. In that production, however, this role was played by Cab Calloway. So I'm not going to try to, be a medium here and do Cab Calloway, but just to let you know, there was a lot of interesting people in that production. The role of Clara was played by Maya Angelou. So it was a really interesting cast. So this is It Ain't Necessarily So, Porgy and Bess. It ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. Little David was small, but oh my. Little David was small, but oh my. He fought big Goliath, who lay down and died. Little David was small, but oh my. Why do Zimbabwe, what a scatty-wah, yeah. Oh, Jonah lived in a whale. Oh, Jonah, he lived in a whale. And he made his home in that vicious abdomen. Jonah lived in a whale. The Moses was found in a stream. The Moses was found in a stream. Floated on water till old Pharaoh's daughter, she fished him, she said, from that stream. Wadu, Zimbabwe, what a scatty-wah, yeah. It ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. Tell all your children the devil's a villain, but it ain't necessarily so. To get into heaven, no snap for a 7. Live clean, don't have no fault. I takes the gospel whenever it is possible, but with a grain of salt. Methuselah lived 900 years. Methuselah lived 900 years. But who calls that living when no gal is given to no man with 900 years? I'm preaching this sermon to show it ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't necessarily so. So sometimes in life, things happen to us that are unexpected. Sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're not so happy. Sometimes they make us angry, sometimes they are the most joyful thing. But really, the experience of all of these things that happen to us in life, I think, really depends on our perspective. So, whether it's a happy or sad or angry or frustrated thing, really depends on how we accept it, how we transform it. I've been fortunate that my life has had so many extraordinary blessings. You know, I grew up, as I said, in a family of musicians, but really it was my mom. Well, I have to tell you that my mom, who's over 100 now, is here with us today. It was my mom who decided at age 4 I was going to start piano. Now, you know, at 4, you really don't know what's going on. Except, every morning at 6 a.m. I was practicing piano. And as I grew up, you know, there were times when I don't know if I ever said this, but there are times when I resented the piano thing because, you know, I would have to come home from school and get on the piano while everybody else was outside playing. But, you know, now I look at that experience and I think, oh, thank God, Mom, thank you. And that is really, if you think about the things in your life, what has led you to this moment, experiencing all this with each other. You can't really regret those things. You can't really say, I wish they didn't happen, because we don't really know all the intricacies of how our lives are threaded together. And, okay, another story. So when I was about 18, 19, I can't remember how old I was, but I moved to New York City. That was my big thing to do. My big dream was to, sorry Rochester, but you know, I had to get away. And I was dancing for a while, Joffrey, and anyway, I ended up at the New York City Opera. I had also grew up here in Rochester in an opera company, and so originally I thought I was going to be an opera singer. Obviously, listening to me today, I'm no opera singer. But I knew opera, and I could get a job, so I could sing in the chorus of New York City Opera. Well, one day, there was a flyer up that said the Metropolitan Opera was doing a production of La Boheme, a new production of La Boheme. Franco Zeffirelli was doing a new production of La Boheme. And my friend said, oh, we should go over there and do this. I said, well, okay. Yeah, I know La Boheme. I've done it many times. So, anyway, we were in the chorus of La Boheme. The first day of rehearsal. Now, I was 18, 19 years old. I really didn't know who Franco Zeffirelli was, I'm sorry to say. So I didn't know who he was, some director. So the first day, this is not really a story I should tell in next company, but when we come to the first day of rehearsal, and they have a little reception, and I'm, you know, eating this and that, and there's this guy that's following me around, and I'm getting nervous. So I hide behind this friend of mine. I said, oh, this guy that's following me around is making me really nervous. Well, 5 minutes later, they introduced Franco Zeffirelli. He was the guy following me around. Well, anyway, he became a wonderful mentor to me, though. And the person who really talked me into going back to school. Now, at that time, school to me, now being a college professor, this is kind of funny to be saying. Close your ears, students. But I really didn't like school, and I left college after college. It wasn't for me. I wanted to be out there doing what I'm doing. And he really taught me, or showed me what was necessary for me to learn about my craft before I actually did it. And it was a huge lesson. And of course, I'm back in university now. So I really appreciate that. I tell that story because sometimes it seems that our lives are going the wrong way, or it doesn't feel right, or just frustrated with whatever it is. But you know what? There is a path that you're creating. You can't see it right now, but eventually it leads you somewhere. And where it leads you is not really the end of the path. It's just the awareness of the path. This next song, which I don't know your name, King of the World, delves a little into this idea. So, thank you, Randy.
It's also written by the guy who went to school in Rochester.
Oh, it's written by a guy that went to school in Rochester. I just know that. Oh, wonderful. We're all family.
Tides big night, and there were flowers at my feet when I walked through the town. Once upon a time, I had lives to protect, I had rules to change and wrongs to set right, and there were people at my side, and there were rivers I could guide. I wanted nothing in return. Let me out of here. Give me back to the wind. Let me out of here. Let me please see my son. Let me out of here. At least tell me what I did wrong. I'm king of the world, chief of the sea, high in the wind, the best that I can be, and I'm king of the world. Please set me free. I had the power and the promise, live my given destiny. Once upon a time, I had faith in my hands and the confidence of a million regimes, and they said, brother, you're in charge, we'll follow anything you'd say. Once upon a time, Father said to me, child, you're everything that you see in your dreams. And I thought, Jesus, that's the key. There are no walls surrounding me, there are no prisons in this life. Let me out of here. Give me back to the wind. Let me out of here. Let me please see my son. Let me out of here. At least tell me what I did wrong. And I'm king of the world, chief of the sea, high in the wind, the best that I can be, and I'm king of the world. Please set me free. I had the power and the promise, give me back my family. Why are we punished for wanting to survive? Why am I locked behind these bars? Tell the children I'll return to them. Tell them someone, I just wanted to be better. Why are we punished for wanting to survive? Why am I locked behind these bars? Tell the children I'll return to them. Tell them someone, let them know I will be free. I will not be defeated. I will stand like a mountain, and the road will stretch before me, and they'll know it's time to follow, and we'll lift our eyes and raise our heads and face the sun and tell the future, I'm king of the world, chief of the sea, high in the wind, the best that I can be, and I'm king of the world. Please set me free. I had the power and the promise, live my given destiny, and I'm king of the world. I'm king of the world tonight. At least I used to be.